All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Designing the Best You, where we focus on designing all aspects of you. And today we have Miss Denicia Hilton Harper. Oh my goodness, she is amazing, y'all. She brings a playful, and you'll hear this, holistic perspective to healing and well-being, where women realize the possibilities available to them by claiming, I am whole, I am complete, and I am perfect. As she was practicing in women's health, she saw the link between the physical conditions women were experiencing and the lack of awareness and expression of the inner self. So now, what does she do? She specializes in the whole being and is on a mission of mitigating women's health experiences by creating playful healing spaces for women to embrace, embody, and express her perfect, authentic self. She's the author of upcoming book, I Am Perfect, Your Z to A Playbook to Embrace, Embody, and Express Your Perfect, Authentic Self, and founded The Perfect Playground, a community for women who desire to be amongst others who celebrate and encourage her along the way in her holistic healing journey. Bridging her experience in holistic and integrative approaches as a holistic well-being consultant and doctor of Eastern medicine, she guides women online to use play to realize their potential by experiencing serious healing that doesn't have to be so serious. This is amazing. Welcome, Denicia. Thank you for being on our show.
Hey,
Here I'm like
Vennessa.
introducing myself to my own show. This is awesome. Okay. Won't be the
Let's
first
do
time I
this.
do that. We're live.
So, Vanessa, what do you do? How's it going?
Yeah, right.
Like, it just-
Oh, I love reality. Okay, so Denicia, welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So tell us, I introduced you a little bit here, and I know it's always weird when people introduce you, but like tell us about like how you got started in all this holistic approach.
So I got started. I feel like that's such a loaded question when
It
I get asked, and it's because I've come to a point in my own evolutionary journey, right, to realize like nothing about this is linear, and just how much it is that there were like all of these little guideposts, all these little people carrying messages throughout my life. And so I like to look at it as here's the highlight of a few of them, right, that like played a role in it. And one of those being I'd always been interested in medicine. I've always had a curious mind about what are they doing? Why are they doing that? What's happening here? What's happening there? Um, I actually was wanting to go back into studying medicine because I was like, I'm not going to do that. And when I was an undergrad, but then I changed it and I got introduced to Eastern medicine from a sorority sister. But in that introduction, or shall I say, and in that introduction, what I fell in love with was that there was the ability to really see someone as a whole person. And then also, it was more of I'm kind of creating this space and the passageway for them to be able to heal themselves. And that I thought was such a beautiful way of practicing medicine and really seeing people for who they are.
Now tell
So I
people
thought
really
that
quick
was
because people are
amazing.
like, oh, I've heard of Western medicine. What is Eastern medicine?
So there's okay. People like to say Western medicine being conventional. I don't
Mhm.
really buy into that verbiage. So Eastern medicine, you'll often hear of traditional Chinese medicine. You'll hear of Korean acupuncture, Japanese acupuncture. You'll hear of Ayurveda. Um, Usually it's going to be coming from one of the countries that is in the Eastern hemisphere. So coming out of China, Japan, Philippines, Thailand, India, they're going to come from over there. Um, I like to say Eastern medicine in the way that I introduce myself because I pull from multiple modalities and multiple techniques that come from these areas. So that is very important, I want to say. And as far as understanding where it is that I'm coming from, as we continue going on into our playversation so that people understand it's not just one place that I'm coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. So what like really got you interested in just medicine in general? Because we all have like the turning point or like trauma or our personal health story that or a family member or something like that, that really just turned the point. Is like, okay, I'm interested in that,
That.
whatever industry.
Yeah. From it, multiple perspectives here. One, we grew up where my sister was sick with asthma. And so with when you have someone that's a child and has asthma, oftentimes like you're running to the hospital for assistance and all of that stuff just to be able to open up passageways. So I was exposed to being in those environments, and I would ask the questions all the time. Well, why are you doing this medication? Like, what is this one for? And at the same time, what I also found was that I would be feeling it. Like I could feel it from her, any pain and hurt. I could feel it from others that were also in the emergency room. Um, then fast forward, I like learn more about astrology, learning more about human design, learning more about all of these other aspects that actually naturally within my being, health is something that's represented as is something that I was supposed to go into, quote unquote, right? Um, I think that adding in learning about what empaths are, being what are introverted type of qualities, it all like fell in line where those are pieces of me that help facilitate my process. And so learning that, oh yeah, when I am in these offices and I'm feeling people's pain, like I would cry, like, and I could just feel it. And so now to come to a place where I'm aware of this happening, but what can I do about it? Like, how can I go about where I'm not necessarily holding on to it or subconsciously helping them, quote unquote, helping them by taking it on in my own body. And so like, I think that sometimes, a lot of the times, that's what happens with those who might have autoimmune conditions, because you're trying to help when it's happening on such a spiritual and energetic level that it blurs lines between the self and the non-self. And then you start to see that confusion manifesting physically when there is that confusion between the self and the non-self. um, so like those are like, once again, it was just like
Little pieces.
sometimes I try to do, and I'm like, there's just not linear to it. Because I think that we learn and as we go along, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, that synchro was totally there, and that makes sense now how it applies.
Yeah, it is funny how things in life, they just, you have something happens in your childhood, you deal with a sibling or a parent or a situation, then you've got school and friends, and then you've got college, and you've got things that happen all the way out into your
Yeah.
career, and then you get to this point in your life and you're like, okay, now I see how it's all connected. And like you said,
Hmm.
it's not linear at all, right? Our careers aren't linear. Our health isn't linear. Our relationships aren't
Right.
linear. Anyone who's married, you all know that. Right? It ain't. You got stress, you got no stress. You got stress, you got fun. You got
Yeah.
all over within a couple hours, usually. You got kids, even worse. Oh my goodness. But that's all,
I have to tell you something really quick because
yeah.
like yesterday I came across this on Instagram with this meme, and like one half on the left half was like a baby Yoda, oh so innocent, and like the caption was, like me annoying my partner. And then on the right side was this like baby Yoda looking, and it's like partner annoying me. And so like,
Exactly.
going, oh my gosh, I sent it to him and I
That's
said,
just like kids too, because they're like, oh, I'm gonna pick at that person. Oh, this is fun. Oh, look at what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. And then they get picked on, and it's like, oh, don't pick on
I
me.
know.
I watch it all day long. I got 3 boys. Oh, it's like sometimes I just gotta leave the room because I'm like, just handle it, y'all. Just handle it. I don't even want to be a part of that. Uh,
Yeah, I remember my dad telling my mom that with my sister and myself. He's just like, just let him have it. Just let him have it. Just one good fight, let him have it. Like
even when I was in corporate world, that I like remember managing a warehouse for one of my positions, and it was like they're just like constantly calling me and paging me, and he did this and he looked at me and blah blah blah. And I'm like, y'all go in the parking lot, like please just go in the parking lot. I will notify HR right now, and you guys could just have a brawl. I don't even care. And they look at me, I'm like, no, I'm serious. Like, go just get it done and come back to work and be, normal, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Um, so yeah, I mean, like in our health, it's just, and all those things do affect our health. We don't, I mean, we
Mhm.
know it, right? We're all like, oh yeah, we know the stress in our relationships. We know the stress at work. We know what we're eating. We know how we're managing, like for women, right? Our periods and things like that, and our,
Yeah.
all of our cycles, and we know all that, but what do we do about it?
Yeah. And
Right?
I
We
think
don't know how to
that's the
connect the dots.
and that and so that's what I love like about doing what I do, right? Because the connecting the dots comes very easily for me. And I when I hear people like going about in there, and I get it, like, if you might be in pain, all you want is the pain to go away, right? And so then it's really literally balancing out this dealing with the pain and at the same time exploring where it's coming from so that you can address that so that hopefully the pain does not come back or that it's not as intense, right? And it's and that's a way too, like in Eastern medicine, and like in our training is how we look at it, like it's we call it roots and branches. And so it's like, yeah, in the beginning of a treatment and treatment plan with someone, how is it that we can deal with that branch issue, that symptom that's like, and at the same time, how can we really look at what is actually what's causing it, what's behind it? And then, so then that way, like, and that's how you start to see phases of the treatment happening because it moves from predominantly branch with some root and moving into okay branch declining and then root coming up. And like it, to me that's a part of the whole journey. That's a beautiful example of even yin and yang. It's those cycles that you were just talking about of like the up and down. It's just kind of being there, um and at the same time acknowledging like it's all happening simultaneously, and even the physical things are happening simultaneously with the emotional. It's happening simultaneously with the psycho part, spiritual part. It's all happening simultaneously. And yes, while you address one, because you're just that connected, you're going to be affecting the others.
Mhm.
And then when you're ready to address, like, meaning focus a little bit more on another aspect, then it's like, okay, now you're really amplifying that healing process
And this
even
is what you
more.
talk about. It's like it's your playful playground, right? It's you're perfect in every way, right?
Yes.
You are perfect in every single way. It's those ups and downs that you got to learn to balance to make yourself right. And we all know there really is no definition of perfect. We all been created in our own perfect, but
Mm.
you have to learn how to accept that. Walk us through kind of like how you teach women and walk them through like how to be that, quote, perfect, that I am perfect. I'm not imperfect. I was not created to be imperfect. I was created to be perfect.
Yes. And I think we have to begin with the definition. The root meaning of perfect is actually whole and complete. It is that you literally are whole and complete. It is seeing that if there is light, there is also dark. If there is this like pain, there's also relief.
See,
There,
I'm going to stop you there. I love that. The light and the dark, right? You're always going to have the contrast, the pain and the
yes,
relief. Too many times in our autoimmune community and the chronic illness community, just women in general, right? We, we're like, oh my gosh, I have so much pain. And then we focus on just that pain, right? And then I
yeah,
just want to find relief for that. And if I find relief for that, my pain is going to go away. Y'all, you can get relief for that one set of pain. Guess what? Some other kind of pain is going to come up, and
yep,
you gotta accept it.
yeah. And
Love that you brought that contrast to us.
yes, and I will say that it's a difference between pain and suffering. And I think that is something that many in the autoimmune communities might not see the difference. And so like even on the perfect playground, there's this one section, quote unquote, because it's all online, right? And so like, there's this one section that I'm like, oh, well, ish happens. Like and And the thing is the point of it is that I want to acknowledge that stuff does happen. It does draw your attention. The difference is the quality of the energy and the amount of energy that you want to give to that, and what would you like to do with it. So it's like, because there's some spaces that don't even want you to mention it, right? But the thing is if we acknowledge the physical and we acknowledge the way that our mental works, the more you repress it, the more the attention's going to go there, right? And it's still going to be functioning and operating in the background. And like that's how even with Eastern medicine, they started seeing a lot of those connections between the mental and the emotional, and how it would come out in the physical. So it's kind of like, well, and this is something I ask myself in developing anything that I offer or working with anyone, and especially in the perfect playground. It's, if I'm even telling you that you're whole and complete, and I'm saying that these, like, I have to even create the space that honors that it's the stuff that doesn't feel good, it's the stuff that is uncomfortable, and give you the space to acknowledge it, acknowledge that it's even there. And so, similar to kids, just acknowledging them actually is all that they wanted.
Yep.
They don't even want you to process anything. They just want you to acknowledge. So it's the same with what we might be experiencing in our life, right? Is acknowledge that it's there, offer yourself the space to acknowledge that it's there. And you don't have to suffer. So the suffering part is a choice. And so then from that point, all right, well, I see that this is happening. And one of my other favorite tips is to depersonalize and so you'll often hear me say it's not your such and such, or and I'm not, and I limit even saying my Hashimoto's, or like my, and some people are they're talking about like endo possibly being autoimmune too. But like my fill in the blank, because that has an energy of attachment to it. So by depersonalizing it in a way that says that this is an experience, you're having this experience, you're more really acknowledging that this is happening. And then now you can sit from like this bird's eye view. Like the way I vision it is you're up in these clouds and you're just kind of like chilling, and you're
You're
kind of like,
playful. I told you she was playful, y'all.
yes.
No, but I love how you say that, because we personalize it. And I know I even did years ago when I was diagnosed, initially with my first one. It's, see, even I said my, right? It's like you sit there and you're like, why me? Why do I have to go through this? This is something wrong with me. And like you said, it's an experience. And these experiences, whether you have an autoimmune condition, whether you've got laid off from a job, whether you have a child that's going through something, whatever it is, it's all an experience that, and I've learned over the years, and I hope other people have learned through their conditions too, is you learn to humble yourself and say, guess what my experience that I'm going through, my health conditions, my relationship issues, whatever it is all something that is going to improve me and improve the people around me, if, like you said, it's a choice, if I choose to think of it and view it that way.
Yes. Yes. And even literally like opening yourself up to what is it that you're there to gain from it? What is it that you're there to learn? What is it that potentially there's something that's just there for your own soul's like development, right? And it's seeing that even through all of those instances, those are your teachers. They're really your teachers.
Mhm.
And if you can depersonalize it, even if it is like you mentioned examples of a human, like so another person, and it's that like sometimes people get wrapped up in who the person is, and that they lose sight of what was even going on, like what was that energy going on there. And in the gift and in the lesson was in what was going on. Now I'm not going to say continue letting people like to gaslight you and all of that jazz. Like that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is pay attention to actually what is it bringing up within you, and what is it that they're mirroring to you. And like, and learn from that, and then really see, all right, like, let's play with this. Let's
Mhm.
really play with this. And one of the key things in playing is you got to be curious. Yeah, you got to be curious. I mean, think about playing a game of cards is a risk, right? Like, no matter what, if it's goldfish, if it's go fish, if
I
it's
can't
like
call it goldfish.
yeah, or if it's like, or if it's Uno, if it's spades, no matter what it is, whenever you go to put that card out, you're taking a risk
Mhm.
because you don't even really know. You're just kind of like, "Ooh, it's best statistics, like maybe, whatever." And now this isn't like those that are really, really psychic and that can pick up on that type of energy, but like,
Yeah.
but for others where it's, oh, you're gonna lay that card out. Who knows what's gonna happen, right? Like,
Mhm.
and that's how I invite these women to see their journey is just that. You're gonna take the risk and then you evolve. So even in that game playing, in that card game, you actually laid out your card, literally.
Yep.
And then you got to see how people responded to that card. And then you learn as you go along. And that's exactly what it is that you're doing in this journey. And it's like, you're just going to keep taking those risks. You're going to learn at every turn. This is what I mean when I say that the healing is a journey, it is not a destination.
Mhm. So talk about how you walk women through. Someone comes to you. What do they typically come to you with? Like they're like, "Hey, Denicia, I need help. You're the one who's going to help me." Like, what do you walk them through? And just let's walk through the journey so people understand. Like, okay, I really need her in my life.
Mhm. So, okay, so let's say that this is more in the realm of, let's choose one because I'm thinking of like the different services. So let's just say that this is in the realm of the on slumber party,
Mhm.
or a VIP day. So a very important play day, right? Just for you. So oftentimes they're coming in like something would have drawn their attention, something from the physical experience. Most of the time, that's what's going to call their attention. So it might be pain, it might be menstrual cycle disorders, it might be fertility issues, it might be digestive, it might be allergies, right? So anything that could be physical. And then they'll usually have mental emotional with it. So it might be like depression, it might be anxiety, right? It's all going and it's all mixed together.
Mhm.
She is thinking, I've tried this, I've tried that, and I know there's more. Like, so she's in that space of there's more to this and I just know it. I know I get so far, but something's missing and something's not quite there. Right. So she's actually in a place of, give me a whole different other perspective into how to view this experience. Help me see what I can gain from this. And are there any other tools that I can use to help me in this phase? So she even honors and sees that she's in this phase right now and is like, all right, cool. So then with that, then she'll get like a pre-assignment, pre-homework, which is some
Yeah,
paperwork,
homework.
some
Love it.
yeah, like, but this is fun because you get to tell me about yourself, right? So give me some insight. Let me know like what's going on. Describe what things are for you, right? And then, so that's before we actually would meet. And then now I take that, and in the meantime, I'm like concocting up some playful activities for you and all of that jazz, because what I'm reading and I'm interpreting is, what are her strengths?
Yeah.
What is it that's there? Where are these, out of the wholeness and the completeness and these elements that are all there? Where are they? Like, what levels are they at? How can we bring out the gift of an element that's going to be called right now, that we need right now? What are the ones that are so natural to her? How can I present it in a way through some playful activity that she sees it's already there. So that way, through the murky, through the like stifling like annoyance of pain and everything, that she actually can still see that glimmer of what's already in existence within her. And then through those playful activities and stuff that we'll do together, and then I will say, all right, now you have this to go do this playful activity. We're going to take a break. And then during that break is when I come up with like almost like a kickstart plan for her. So I get to highlight, this is what we see as your strengths. These are where these systems are at right now. Let's call on the energy of the wood. Let's call on the energy of the earth. This is how you can do it. And then I can lay out step by step. So it might be some foods, it might be some labs that we might bring in, it might be some herbs, it might be some supplements. So you'll see that that is like really tailored to her. And then I say, we meet again, and I say, here you go. Right. And then I review it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, da, 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 like there, woohoo.
Wake
And
up, y'all.
yeah, it's like, you did it. We did our VIP day.
Mhm.
And then I give the space for her to be able to integrate. So the beauty of the process and the way that I do it is that and why I like to lead with activities is because I love being able to bypass the brain in the way that it says, oh no, I can't do that. So oftentimes when we might be presented with something and our brain's immediately going to go, oh, trying to change, like call back, everybody call back. We got to like
Oh yeah,
stay the
like we
same.
get
We got to stay the same.
diagnosed, we get a bad lab or something, or we'd have a lab that we have no idea what it is, and we're like,
Yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Doctor, what am I supposed to do with this? Oh, we'll have an appointment in another 6 weeks when I have opening on my calendar, and then until then, you're like, uh,
But then,
mm,
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
And now your brain, like you said, your brain is going, and you're like, it always goes to negative, right? For that's
Mm-hmm.
the reason, that's how we were created, right? It always goes to negative, and then we're like, okay, where do I even get started? And you're stopping that right there, which is awesome. You're stopping it right
Yes.
there and saying, let's focus on getting your minds out of the game and start using the rest of your body to
Yeah.
move forward.
And which is calling you to embody, right? Like it's embodying, meaning coming into the body, which I understand that for many, if depending on how long it is that you've been dealing with, whatever it is that's going on, right? We might have, we tend to adopt dissociating coping mechanisms. So there might have been a trauma that started your dissociation from your body. It might be the condition that you're experiencing that's also perpetuating dissociation from the body. And when you dissociate from the body, it's very difficult to actually learn from it.
Yeah.
And so through the playful activities, it's even calling you to actually embody, to go in your body, to start to change your relationship with your body, to start to listen to the messages that it's offering, right? And then from that space, what can we do with it?
Mhm.
And, and so it's like it is giving your brain and that mind a rest, saying, just chill. I understand that you were made to look for dangers, but
Yeah.
right now I'm going to feel safe in my body.
Yep.
And I'm going to listen to what is coming up right now. And like, and that's what I love about that, like that whole structure of the VIP days is so that you can experience that. You can actually go in the body, and then let's from that space, because now you've embodied from within. That's where true empowerment is. That's where patient empowerment is. M means internal. So like,
Yeah,
so
don't be depending on a doctor. I know you're a doctor, but don't
yeah,
be depending on them. It is your body. You take care of
yes,
this. We talk about this all the time. It's like, get educated, empower yourself, and
yeah,
do something about it. Like, don't be waiting those 6, 10, 12 weeks for a doctor to tell you what to do. Like,
yeah.
there's other things that they're doing, right?
And
Not
that's
that important, but you are important to you. Take charge of you.
right, right. And that is like, and I trust me, I took no offense to you saying that. I actually tell, like, I believe that. Like, I don't want you
Coming
to
back.
be anchoring into me. Yeah, I don't want you to be anchoring into me. This is why I say that these are tools, like people, and it's not even just people. Sometimes people will anchor into the supplement. We might anchor into the herb. We might anchor into the medicine. We might anchor into a certain type of food or diet, right? Like those are, if your positioning and your perspective is like, that's your like, oh my gosh, like I have to do that.
Oh yeah, we
And
were talking about
even,
beforehand, like before we were recording. It's like, and this is of no offense to anyone listening, if you're on a specific diet or something like that, just because someone said that keto is good, or someone said AIP is good for your autoimmune stuff, or someone said paleo, or we were talking about even Atkins from way back, right? Just
yeah,
because they say that a handful of people have benefited from it doesn't mean that it's good for you. What you're doing is, like Denisha is saying, is you're anchoring into that and depending solely on that to
yep,
cure you or to manage your symptoms and your health. Don't do that.
right. And but when you come at it from the wholeness and the completeness that you are, the perfect that you are, you begin now to look at, is this a tool that's to help me to resource? And when I say resource, meaning coming to, source is you.
Yep.
So you look at it as, is this a tool that will literally facilitate me being able to come to myself, to be able to come to my inner being?
Mhm.
If that is, sweet, use it. And it's even honoring, like I said too, with phases. Things that might work in one phase may not work in another phase. And it's okay. It's just being present enough to realize that you got the medicinal qualities from that. And then now you're at a different level. And then now that means that there's a reassessing that needs to occur. And from now, this new phase, what tool is available to facilitate my resourcing?
Absolutely. Gosh, ladies and gentlemen, she is just amazing. We could talk to her all day. Oh my goodness. She has so many things that we could offer her. And so, with our audience here, where can they find you?
Yes.
Other than
So
walking up to your house or something. We don't want to give away.
yeah.
But where can
I'd be
they find
like,
you
do
online?
you want some tea? Like,
Here, I'm doing my essential oil stuff now. Here, why don't you come in and let's have a cup of tea here. Um,
oh,
no, but where
let's
can
sit
they find
together.
you?
Well, you can actually catch me on the Perfect Playground, and really it's theperfectplayground.com. And if they are interested, then I can totally offer a 30-day trial into the academy, which is a part of the Perfect Playground. It's more of like a little bit of step above, where you actually get some group consulting with me and the academy. So you definitely can join in on that and start your 30-day trial. And that's theperfectplayground.com/free trial. Other than that, denisiahilton.com is my website, and you can come and jam with me. And I have other connections
She
to
does
things
dance
from the
parties
site.
on TikTok and stuff. No, I don't know if she does. People always tell me, get on TikTok. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. Um, you won't catch
I'm
me doing good
thinking about it, but I'm not.
I try dancing and it doesn't always work for me.
Somebody had to tell me, because I was like, because they asked me, are you going to do TikTok? And I'm like, I don't know why I got to sit here and do all this dancing. And they're like, no, 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 you don't have to do that. You could just go in there and talk. And I was like,
Talking
what?
points. I'm like,
Really?
yeah, I'm good.
That's a lot of production. Like,
Yeah, I know,
I
too much
just
for me.
can't
I
do
mean,
it.
this is about as good as it gets with, like, if y'all are watching the video version of this, like the hair and makeup, that's about as good as it gets. Sorry, y'all. Don't look at what I'm wearing on the bottom. It's yoga pants.
Hey, here's a hint. This is a dress, and I definitely got on some shorts because I was like, not showing up here.
Mhm. All right. Well, thank you so much, Denisia, for joining in on Designing the Best You. Y'all, just like she talked about, it's right in alignment with what we talk about of designing that entire you, because the world does need the best you out there, mind, body, soul. Until next time, guys.